Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Sea Otter's magical realm of the Mad God Super Show. I am your host, SeaOtterGamer, and today we'll be playing as our knight, heading back into the Godlands in order to harvest some tasty potions. But before we do, let's see, we need 2 attack, 24 defense, 7 speed. Alright, those are the 3, hello Wall of Gods. Those are the 3 we will be looking for today. How's your guys' day going so far? Mine's not too bad. I've been really tired lately. I've been staying up super late to play Counter-Strike with my friends, and I think it's slowly catching up to me. I think maybe I need to take a day or 2 off, rest and recuperate. It's also making it so that I can hardly aim. And that's what I'm going to be. That's what I'm going to be blaming it on. And you know what? That's kind of an important thing, you know? It's important to get your rest, and especially if you're younger and you're trying to learn a lot of stuff at school and all that kind of stuff. And just, you know, mostly just take care of yourself. That's something that I'm actually not very good at, you know? Like, you know, something comes up, you're like, I know I probably should go to the dentist or see the doctor or something, or I haven't done the yearly checkup in like 7 years. It's a 7 yearly checkup. That's what it's for, right? I'm pretty sure. It's let's see, septuple year checkup. Yeah, it's not a good thing, you know? I think, you know, part of it's just laziness. The other part is just I don't like going to the doctor, and I don't like going to the dentist and that kind of stuff, because there's a sense of scariness to that, you know? Like, what if they have to extract all of my teeth because they're all, you know, not very good, and then I have to get wooden teeth because I can't afford nice enamel teeth or something, and then I'll look like George Washington, you know? Or something like that. That's probably what would happen, right, guys? But yeah, so I don't know. It's something I need to do. So, by the way, is there any real reason to go into the Abyss anymore? Because, I mean, yeah, you do still get defense, but it seems like it's the place to get Vit now. But that being said, you know, it's a lot to risk. It's not the easiest dungeon to play. There's a lot of risk involved, and you only, you know, well, you might get a defense maybe if you're lucky, but chances are you'll probably get a Vit instead. I was hoping for a snake pit portal. Maybe we'll get luckier. Nope, we didn't. Okay. So yeah, I don't know. You know, I feel like it was a good thing that they added more content. Absolutely. I am not in any way, shape, or form saying they shouldn't have. But I do feel like there's, you know, not as much of a reason to go into abysses anymore. And I think they upped the spawn rate, or really the drop rate of abysses as far as defense potions go. But at the same time, it's not the same. But, you know, I understand why they did it. Oh, hopefully, come on, snake pit. Nope, no snake pit there. That's what I'm looking for. Maybe get some quick speed, not the drug. Although maybe, I don't know, there could be just drugs in these potions for all we know, you know? All right, come on, lizard. No, it's not what I'm looking for. So, yeah, I don't know. You know, I do understand why they did it, of course. You know, they felt like defense was too easy to get, and it's, I would argue, one of the most important stats in the game, you know? For a game that when you die, you don't come back, and defense is a great way, especially if you have a knight or something, to ensure or lessen the chances of you dying. I was gonna say ensure that you live, but that's not true. You can still die quite easily. Then, you know, maybe it shouldn't be as readily available as it is. And what it did also, because it was in the Abyss, was it made it so that once you maxed out defense on something and you knew how to do abysses, you could just sit there and farm them. And the people that didn't have max defense or anything didn't have a chance. That's what we were looking for. Perfect. Which, I mean, there's absolutely no way around it unless you make it, I don't know, like pirate cave portals drop defense now. That would be stupid. Then it would be undervaluing defense, which I think would be a worse problem than overvaluing it, you know? But I don't know. I'm not a game developer. I don't know anything about game design or really balancing or anything. I trust Deca. They haven't really steered us wrong yet, at least not too badly, you know? I feel like the consensus I get, consensus? That's not even a word. The consensus, wow, I just can't talk today. The consensus that I get from the Realm community is that Deca's doing a relatively good job, and I have to agree with that. You know, they're adding content, they're fixing stuff, they're trying to get rid of. Oh, this is a treasure room. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, come on. They're trying to get rid of hacks and all that kind of stuff. Do you know how often I find treasure rooms? I don't. That's how often I find treasure rooms. Is any of these not really worth grabbing? I have better stuff like than that in my vault. Well, yeah, we found a treasure room. Finally, it's been forever and a half. All right, cool. So that was worth it. And man, the boss was a complete pushover. I just have to say. All right, this must be the way to go. Yeah, no. I think that Deca is doing a great job, and I appreciate all of the hard work and care that they're putting into this. I don't actually know how they're making money with this, because they've got, like, I don't know, 6 people or whatever on their team. They have to be paying them. You know, these guys have to feed themselves and find a place to live and all that kind of good stuff. You know, there has to be some money that they're getting for this. I don't know. I honestly, people are buying Realm gold and that kind of stuff and spending it on the game, but at the same time, I don't know the figures, but I don't think, you know, that would be enough to host the servers and also pay the people working on them. Of course, I have to be wrong unless they're doing this for free and they all have other jobs, which, if that's the case, kudos to them. I mean, they're doing a great job, you know, working multiple jobs and still finding the time to develop Realm. I don't know if that's true or not, you know. I have absolutely no idea. So, but either way, I do agree with a lot of the stuff they've done. There's always slight controversy. Some people are, we don't like this I don't know, we don't like this gift box thing that you guys have going on because we think that it's, you know, it's crap or something, or we don't like what you can get out of it, or, you know, there's nothing good in it or any of that kind of stuff. Which I see grumbling about that in the subreddit, but yeah, for the most part, you know, that's the other thing too. To be honest here, you know, who are we as people who don't do game development? I'm speaking as myself in the, like, I guess, royal we, right? I don't do game development. I'm assuming that a lot of the younger population and people that, man, come on, can we just, like, get into the game here? Thank you. Thank you. I'm assuming that the majority of people who play this game don't do any sort of game development or anything either. So, you know, we have a very limited scope of what it takes and the balancing that it takes to run a game like this. So who are we to say that, you know, what they did was good or was bad, you know? All we can go off of is the feeling that we get from the actual game and kind of what we see going on. But even then, that's not a completely reliable source by any means, you know? That is death. That's what that is over there. All right. Yep. Yeah, let's not challenge that. Let's go this. Well, let's not go that way. We're gonna pull a quick mulligan on that one. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think they're doing a good job. So, this is something exciting. Oh, but wait, before we get into that, I did have a question for you guys. Now, I understand most people probably won't want to answer it, but a while ago, I posed the question, you know, how many people here listen to this without without watching it. And, you know, I was just curious. It doesn't matter to me either way, to be completely honest. If you want to watch it and not, or if you want to listen and not watch it, if you want to watch it and not listen, that's fine too. Right? Maybe you just hate the sound of my voice and it's not what you want to, you know, it's like grating on your ears and that's not what you want. That's fine. I understand, you know, but if you want to listen to it and not watch, you know, that's absolutely perfectly fine. I know a few people are like, this is basically a podcast disguised as a video game video. And, you know, I can't say you're wrong. I can't say you're wrong. But one of the things, because I do want to better understand the people who watch my videos so I can better cater to that as well. That was a lot. I was looking at my map and running. Kids, don't look at your map and like drive, okay? You're not Goofy from a Goofy movie. You will die. Dying is bad. Much like in this game, you don't come back. You know what? I can't say that because some people with some religions think that you do, and who am I to say that that's wrong? So I'm not gonna say that, but I'm gonna move on. I was curious. I was looking at my demographics today, and I pulled it up for the entire time that this channel has been around, which is a little bit over 3 years now. And I looked at it, you know, current demographics versus, current demographics versus, you know, all time versus when we first started and that kind of stuff. I noticed that pretty consistently we have about 94% male population watching this, and about obviously a 6% female one. You know, obviously they have to add up to 100, and they don't allow you to say none of the above, as far as I know. And I've always wondered, you know, obviously I'm not going to ask you guys if you're male or female. I don't think that's good information to be putting out on the internet if you don't want to. You know, it's personal identifying information for sure. So I'm not going to ask that. But I've always had a theory that some female people on the internet will check the mailbox. Just the mailbox, yes. Yeah, that's where you keep your mail. Never mind. That was a failed joke. Moving on. I have a theory that a lot of females on the internet will check the mailbox instead of the female one in order to reduce the amount of hate and spam and, you know, gender related, for lack of better word, bullshittery that happens, you know? This is something that happens on the internet. It's not something I'm going to say doesn't. It's a very real thing. You know, people, oh, you're a girl, all this, you know, can I get your number? You know, or I'm gonna find you and I'm not even gonna try, because it's not the way that my brain works. But you know what I'm talking about. I don't even have to tell you. You know what goes on. You've been on the internet, and it's frankly disgusting. So I've always wondered if some girls, you know, are like, I'm just gonna pretend I'm male on the internet in order to not have to deal with this. And, you know, obviously I'm not gonna say, if you do this, let me know so I can, you know. So, you know, but, you know, if you want to come out anonymously, or you know, just send me an email without your address, you know, SeaOtterGamer@gmail.com. So he's in the bottom of my videos, if you're ever wondering. You know, I'd just be interested. I would be interested if that's what some people do, because, you know, I think that would be a great way to reduce the amount of harassment if I was in that situation, right? I could definitely understand that to being a thing. And, you know, today I actually wanted to talk a little bit about harassment, but it's a topic I don't really want to talk about, but it's one that I feel I need to. And I couldn't psych myself up enough for it. And it's something I want to think about a little bit more as well. So that'll be coming up in a later video. And I will, of course, punctuate that talk with things that have happened in my life and relevant experiences that I've had. if you're curious, and things that I have done that have either helped or hurt the situation, or, you know, maybe that, you know, I'm not necessarily proud of, but it's something that happened and it's not something that you can undo, you know? So I would say look forward to that in the future, but I don't think that's really something you can look forward to. So I'll just say it will most likely be happening in the future. We'll talk about that kind of stuff. So, you know, and part of it is also just kind of like the current climate. Oh, let's drink that, because why not? The current climate that's going around. I don't want to talk too much about it because I want to save it for the actual video. But I've always felt like there's this kind of, you know, this stigma going on to this climate where it's like you're like dumbing down people. You see it in schools and stuff all the time, and I think that what is that? The no tolerance policies and stuff are a great example of this. Of, you know, we're not gonna think and use our brains to figure out what happened. We're just going to punish everybody equally, even though, you know, they don't necessarily deserve it. And that's something that I've had to deal with before, and something I'll talk about a little bit later. So, and I'm sure people are probably gonna be like, oh, he's talking about me, because we talked about this recently. I've had plenty of people come to me probably over the past about year and a half with personal issues. Obviously, I'm not going to name anybody or anything about that whatsoever. So instead, I will talk to you about things that have happened in my life. And so this isn't about any specific person, because honestly, there's been a lot of people who've had very similar issues. And these are just things that unfortunately kind of happen to everybody. So it's just something I felt like talking about. So that'll probably be our next episode. Maybe that'll be Friday. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe that'll be the Nilly's Realm episode, if I can finally bring myself to talk about that kind of stuff. But on to a happier note, I got a package in the mail today, which is something that I bought over the weekend. Wow, it came really quick. It came from like Nevada though, which isn't too far from me. So it makes sense that it would be here fairly quickly. So yeah, I was waiting for this. I bought with some of the funds that I've gotten from ad revenue, because I feel like the money that I make off of this channel, I put back into it in order to make the content better. That's just kind of how I operate, you know. Although someday I'd like to pay myself back for a lot of the equipment that I've bought out of pocket as well. You know, microphones, audio gear, that kind of stuff is expensive. Computer parts is expensive. But what I did is I took some of the money that I spent, or that I got from ad revenue, and also from, I don't know if you remember, a little while ago, I did some promotional content. And I bought a Drummer DL214 XLR. Now, I'm sure nobody here knows what that is, but that is a compressor limiter gate. So maybe let's take a second to talk a little bit about what those do and why they're useful. And if you are, you know, doing any audio stuff, or you have your own YouTube channel or that kind of thing. Man, sewers are dropping like candy now. You know, maybe this is pertinent, relevant information that you can use to better your content. So I'm trying to think of a way to describe this, because it's very kind of tech heavy type stuff. But let me just say what each of the components do and briefly explain why they are useful for YouTubers. So when you have a microphone or you know, maybe drums or a guitar or something coming in, you have a waveform, and that waveform has a certain I'm gonna say loudness to it. That's not the right word, but it's the one that I think most people will associate. You know, it's a decibel range, which is not loudness. It's something else, more technical than that. Well, let's just call it loudness. You have a certain loudness attached to it, right? And it is represented by a decibel rating. And that decibel is going to be a negative number. It's going to be less than 0. And the reason why is anything above 0 doesn't get recorded. It's what's called clipping, which is a loss of information, and it makes your sound not very good. It sounds horrible, right? Which is why we set up our mic correctly so we don't clip, right? And so you have these things that are a negative decibel rating. It's weird to think of volume as a negative number. It's not really volume either. But, you know, just to go off of this, right? And maybe you have in your recording sometimes where you're whispering and you want people to be able to hear what you said while you were whispering. And maybe you're whispering because let's say you're playing a horror game and you're in a closet or something, right? And you're like, is he here? Is he... let's peek out it. And then you peek out and he's there and you scream. And then now you're very, very loud. So you want the person watching your video to be able to hear both the whisper and the loud and not have to crank up their volume to hear the whisper and then get their eardrums blown out by the loud sound, right? It also makes it easier to kind of mix back into your audio track, right? And so what you want is everything to be about the same volume, right? So, and the way that you do that is you use a tool called a compressor. And what a compressor does is it says anything louder than a certain threshold, we are going to squash down. We're going to compress it. So anything louder than a certain point, we're going to make it quieter, right? And what that does is it makes your sound more even volume. And then what you do is you add something called makeup gain, which basically makes everything louder. And in layman's terms, what you've just done is you've made loud sounds quieter and quieter sounds louder. It's what's actually called reducing the dynamic range of your recording. The dynamic range being the difference between the loudest and quietest part of your track, right? So that's what a compressor does. And it can do a few other things too. You can give it a negative value and increase the dynamic range if you really want to, you know, and some people do that. It can be used to make vocals really punch out in music, to be really punch out over your different instruments so that you can really understand the lyrics well. You know, that's kind of what a compressor does, or one of the applications for it. As far as YouTube, basically it makes things more consistent volume so that people can always hear your commentary, because that is arguably the most important part of the video. At least videos like this one, which some people don't even watch, you know, but it's like a podcast, right? Which is perfectly fine. And so that's why compressors are important. And the way it does that is it has a ratio, right? So I use a 2-to-1 ratio. I've used up to a 4-to-1 ratio, which is considered moderate compression. And what that means is that, let's say your threshold is at negative 10 decibels, right? If something is, let's say a 2-to-1 ratio, and it's 4 decibels higher than your ratio, then it'll only be 2 decibels higher than your ratio because it'll divide it by 2, kind of, basically, kind of. Okay, that is not good. Being slowed in the god wall. Let's just mulligan that one as well. So what a limiter does, at least let's say a hard limiter, right? It's a type of limiter. Well, it will put a ratio of like somewhere between 100-to-1 to like what's considered infinity to 1. Basically what it does is anything above a certain threshold is just whatever volume that threshold is at. And so it's just anything louder than this threshold here is now just set to this threshold. And the reason this is important is because if you remember before, anything that's above 0 decibels doesn't get recorded and you get clipping, which sounds horrible. So what you can do is you can set a hard limiter on your recording. And I think I saw, what is it? No, it wasn't. Okay. And you can set it to like -1 decibels, which is what I set it to. And what that means is you no longer clip because your recording no longer goes above that 0 decibel. Very, very important. That's the last thing that you'll do. And once something goes above that 0 decibels, you can't undo it, right? So in order for that to work, that hard limiter has to be before you record or as you record. You can't do it later. You can't make up information later once it's gone. You know, it's like taking a picture and be like, actually, my head is slightly out of the shot. Can you Photoshop it back in? That's not how that works, right? As much as the, TV shows are like, oh, enhance this or whatever, and it makes up all this information. That's not how it works. So, and a gate. All right, so what a gate does is it says anything lower than a certain volume, don't record that. So the good thing about this is like you might be able to hear my mechanical keyboard in the background right now, right? Or maybe a chair squeak or something of that nature, or maybe even me breathing. You can gate that off and it won't record that. At least it won't record it while I'm not talking, right? When I'm talking, it'll be above the threshold, so it'll record it while I'm talking. But in the in between parts when I'm not talking, which never happens because I'm always yapping, then it won't record that, which will be very, very nice for recording as well. Get rid of just a little bit of that background stuff that we don't like to hear. Now the problem with that is if you set your threshold too high, then it'll start cutting off parts of your words as well, which you don't want. So you don't want to set it too high. Audio is all about finding the perfect settings for your recording habitat, your recording room, and also for your voice. So it's one of those things that you can look at guides and they'll help you out. They'll give you a good basis. I have a guide on how to use these tools in Audacity, which is a free program. Great program if you're ever looking for something. But that should be used as a base. It should not be used as your settings. It's meant to be used as, here is a good place to start. Now find some settings that work better for you. You have to experiment around, or once you've done it for a while, maybe you know a little bit more about how these things work, and then you can, make it sound better. But anyways, I have one of those. I can't use it right now because I'm waiting for a special cable that I need to hook that up to my mixing board here. But I'm super excited. To try it out because I think this will add quite a bit of clarity and quite a bit of, quality to my audio recordings. And if I'm to be honest, it will also reduce the amount of editing I'll have to do in post, which will save me time. And it will also allow me to apply these effects to my live stream, because you can't do that to your live stream unless you use something like a VST host, which will add delay, and I don't like that. And I just like fiddling around with knobs, to be honest. Knobs like on your mixing board, not knobs like a penis. Although if that's your thing, good on you. So yeah, I'm super excited to try this out. Now I was really super excited to get this board, because if I'm to be honest, this is a very, very, very expensive equipment that I bought used and got it for a very, very cheap price. And it looks absolutely brand new. It's not nicked or dented, or it's not, broken in any way. It's not even really scratched. And what it was a demo unit that was kind of sitting behind a counter, and because it was an open box, they couldn't sell it for a new price, and so they sold it for something like a fifth of the price. And I got a steal on it because I was looking at cheap units, and then I saw this one. I was like, yep, that's what I'm getting, no contest. So I am super excited to try that out. Maybe I'll do a comparison video, like here's what it sounds like when it's off, and then here's what it sounds like when it's on. And I don't know, I think that could be kind of cool. Let me know if that's something that you guys are interested in. But before we go, let's see how we are doing. 1 attack, 5 speed. We didn't do too good in this episode. You know, we didn't do too well. You know, of course, Batman does good, and you do well. That's what Weird Al taught me. Great song, by the way. But maybe we will end up maxing out that attack in the next episode. I think we need 1 more, which I might actually have on my other character. So we might have to drink 1 of those, and then we will be 2 out of 8, which will be very excited. I can't talk today. It'll be very exciting, and I look forward to it. Anyways, we're leaving this off here. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please do have a wonderful, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all in the next episode.